we'll go to questions.
Yeah, great game. The first game in a regional is always difficult. I expected it to be difficult. We had scouted Holy Cross well, and you guys saw their starter. I mean, he's out of the gate, 94, 95, sink, 3 pitches, actually 4 with a good cutter. We were hitting some balls hard. Credit our guys, they stayed with it. Credit this guy to my right, matched him pitch for pitch, reached back when he needed to. There late in the game. Gavin had a big swing in the bat to get us going right there. But I would have predicted this was going to be a close game. Just had a feeling about it watching them play. They're an older team, so I want to give a shout out to Holy Cross. They have a really good team. They made us work extremely hard. But at the end of the day, the story of the game was Jake Knapp, and I'm proud to be sitting up here beside him.
Just raise your hand and I'll get to you.
Coach, with Jake going 8 in the third, how big is it for you guys going down the road in regionals for your bullpen to not have much work, just in case if one of your other guys isn't playing well? And Jake, what was working well for you today?
Yeah, I'll answer that first. That was huge, and that's been Jake all year. He set the tone for us, and he's the reason we've had so much success since that Pitt series of winning series, because he goes out there and our arms are fresh the whole weekend. Even Duff today, a tight game, he didn't have to exert himself that much, so he'll be ready to rock and roll. He might even be better tomorrow because he's a freshman. And we also had a lot of guys that was their first postseason game, even though they're older. So I congratulated them as well. But that's been Jake all season for us.
Right.
For Jake and Scott, what were the emotions for you guys, particularly Jake, sitting out all last year, get your first postseason start at home, and to have that kind of effort? What were the emotions walking on the mound and then walking off of it in the night?
You go ahead.
It was awesome. I mean, that's what I've been working for. The season's been great, but you play baseball for postseason baseball, and the adrenaline was high early. Walked the first guy, had a great at-bat, but was able to settle in, and like you said, I reached back when I needed to, but it was just awesome to be back out there with everybody, and that's a testament to everybody in the program that's helped me get back to where I was.
Hang on one second. TV, can you hear Jake okay? Okay.
Yeah, for me, that was a 2-part question. Obviously just watching him go out was emotional for all of us because he didn't have to come back here. He could have signed a pro contract. He believed in, Coach Gaines and Coach Howe. He believed in our program, and obviously he believed that he would get extremely good care rehabbing with Terry Joe and our training staff. And, they deserve a lot of credit for where he is. People don't see the things that Terry Joe does and how hard she works. She does a phenomenal job of getting our guys better and getting them on the field.
Far right, Adam, then Jaden.
Jake, in the 6th inning, when you were able to get out of the bases loaded jam there, what were you feeling? You had the big reaction when you got the strikeout, but you may have been grunting a little more than normal. I don't know. Were you grunting more than you normally do? And what was going on there?
Yeah, I was. I knew in that situation, it was one of those moments where I did have to reach back. So I knew I had some more in the tank, and in a big situation like that, I'm not going to leave anything out there. So I was definitely grunting more than I usually do. But oh well.
Gavin, your reaction to that?
Yeah. No, it was pretty awesome. It was a big situation, and Jake's a guy that doesn't always show a ton of emotion on the mound. So to see him fired up definitely got us going a little bit, going back into the dugout. So it was exciting. It was a lot of fun to see.
Jaden.
Gavin, we were told that was your first career triple. Just what was it like rounding second and getting into third for you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of close calls rounding second base, and I know myself as a runner. So finally got one that bounced off the wall far enough away from the guy to really kick into the next gear. But first hit of the game, get a guy in scoring position, less than 2 outs. It's always good to have, and with this lineup, I know that if I'm in scoring position, then I got a good chance of scoring. So,
Yeah,
Jake, you as the guy who led the ACC in innings pitched today, this year, and you look back at your stat line, went 8 in the third. How important and how good does it make you feel to know that you cut down the workload tremendously for your pitching, especially in the playoff time here?
That's my biggest goal going into every weekend, is to try and get deep into a game and give us a chance to win. So it's been my mindset to just attack and try and let other teams put the ball in play, not necessarily chasing strikeouts or any of that. trying to get deep and have quick innings, and the defense is great, and they've held me all year. So that's honestly the biggest key for me is just having the other team put the ball in play and trusting those guys behind me because they're great.
Gavin, 3 double plays tonight, almost 4. Just how important is that defense to this team identity, and how has it led to the results you guys have?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Like we talked about with Knapp going deep into games, he gives us a little bit of credit. Obviously, he does way more than we do, but those double plays are huge. They help everybody out. I think a couple times leadoff guy was on, and getting that double play just shifts the momentum right back to us. And it's also just kind of, lets you take a deep breath. So.
Jake, having Luke behind the plate and how solid he is and such a great a catcher he is, talking to you throughout the entire time you have bases loaded, what does him being behind the plate allow for you and your team to do?
It gives you all the confidence in the world. I think I threw a couple sliders there with bases loaded, and Coach Gaines has the confidence in him as well. Like, I know I can let it rip and nothing's going to get by him, so I don't have to be careful and throw pitches over the plate. Like, I can just kind of get after it, and he's unbelievable back there for everybody on the staff, and he's been a constant all year, and he'll continue to do that.
Brian.
Gavin, can you talk about the offense's ability to score in bunches? You obviously had that big inning against Clemson with 2 runs to beat Florida State, and you had the 3 runs today in the 4th. Can you talk about the offense's ability to score in bunches? Do you guys feed off each other with that momentum?
Yeah, of course. Hitting is contagious, and so when you have a guy on the mound that he's got some good stuff, like their pitcher had today, sometimes all it takes is one hit, and then it kind of gets everybody else going. So I think that's something that we've done really well is that we're able to capitalize on kind of like that momentum, keeping that on our side, and then taking advantage of mistakes when they give them to us.
Tommy, then Adam.
Jake and Coach Forbes, longest postseason outing since Hobbs Johnson against State in the World Series, I believe in 13. But what were those discussions after the 7th, after the 8th, and then the mound visit in the 9th? What were they like?
I'll start you, Hobbs, man. That was a good one. He threw all fastballs too, so I enjoyed that one. Me and Brian Hoverton was catching that game, and I looked at him in the 5th, and he just stopped looking at me and just caught all fastballs. Man, that's a good memory. And it doesn't surprise me somewhat. Jake has an elite fastball. It doesn't have to be 94, 95. That's going to beat a lot of barrels. It's hard to get the bat head out front on his fastball because of that ride. I'll let Jake answer the discussions.
There was nothing until the 8th, and I could tell that he wasn't. I was going to have to argue, so I didn't even try and argue. I just told him I'm going back out, and he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "I'm going back out." He said, "Well, if you give up a base runner, you're coming out." And I said, "That's a deal." And so I wish Ahmad would have had a little more range right there, so I'll blame him. But he kept me from going still. But yeah, there wasn't much of a conversation, but glad I won him over.
Yeah, he made the deal. I accepted it.
Adam, then RL, then Pat, last 3.
Scott, did you have any, Jake was saying earlier about the adrenaline running high, did you have any sort of, I don't know, particular message about this maybe being like the first step of what you want to be? Obviously a long journey. Like, what sort of thoughts were you giving these guys just going into today being the first one of what you hope are many?
Yeah, just flat out honesty. Like, you're lying to yourself if you don't think you're going to be amped up. You don't think you're going to be excited. You have a little bit of anxiety. We talk about what overcomes anxiety, and that's trust and hard work. We had a lot of guys that haven't played. Kane Kepley hasn't played in a postseason game, as good as a player he is. And other guys like Bass hasn't played in one here. But no matter what, like I tell them, like, I will feel it. And if I don't need to be coaching. Because, you should be excited. It's a big game. So I was just honest with them, like, hey, you got to slow down. You have to breathe. Because it's that first postseason game, for some reason, in all my years coaching, where everybody's the most, like, just amped up, ready to play. They know what's on the line. And then from my experience, you just then you start just playing into the regional. So we just talked about it and talked about staying with your routine. I thought that was really important because the game will frustrate the heck out of you. Our guys were really barreling some balls, and I was just getting the pulse of the team, and they looked fine because you can start pressing. You hit those balls right to people. It's no coincidence in a game of baseball that Stokely hits one off the end, and that one falls in, and we get a run. So just reminding them, like, this is the time of year where you got to manage those emotions. But you have to go back to being a kid and just like a little leaguer and having a blast because this is what you want to be in.
Last 2, RL, then Pat.
Gavin, what is it about the regionals? Obviously, you had a huge hit in the opener last season. You've kind of taken up a few notches, a little bit more adrenaline. I mean, 2 hits, 2 walks.
I wish I had an answer for you, but I just try to go about every game like it's just another game. Obviously, you get into the postseason, it's not just another game, but just stick to my routine. I stick to my plan. I try to execute our approach at the plate, and sometimes if you do all that, good things happen. So.
Patrick.
Jake,
I was talking about it with Coach Gaines this morning. It was a good experience for me. It's 2 years ago, but being able to draw back on pitching in the first game of a regional, I learned a lot from being able to manage the emotions. That game didn't go how I wanted it to, how the team wanted it to back then, but that was something that I drew on a lot today and helped me stay in my routine. And honestly, just leading up to the game was probably the biggest thing. Obviously, it's a lot nicer being at home than in Terre Haute, but it was something that I drew on a lot.